She says she's too tired, too stressed, or too busy, but it's not about sex. The real reason intimacy fades is deeper. It's about how she truly feels about you, the relationship, and her place in it. And if you miss this, you'll never understand why desire disappears. You're lying in bed beside someone who once couldn't keep her hands off you. Now, when you gently touch her shoulder, she turns away. Another headache. Another excuse. Too exhausted. Too overwhelmed. Too busy. Always something standing in the way. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. When desire disappears, it's rarely about sex itself. Sex is just where the damage becomes visible. The real issue runs much deeper. And if all your attention is on fixing what happens in the bedroom, you're already looking in the wrong place. Let's be clear about something important. Repeated sexual rejection isn't the core problem. It's a signal. When someone consistently avoids intimacy, they're not simply saying no to sex. They're expressing how they feel about you, about the relationship, and about their role within it. The bedroom just happens to be where that message can no longer be ignored. Desire can't be forced. Attraction can't be bargained for. You can't negotiate someone into genuinely wanting you. And when desire fades, it becomes one of the most honest forms of feedback a relationship can give. I once worked with a man who documented every attempt at intimacy over 6 months. Every rejection, every excuse, every repeated pattern. What he uncovered had nothing to do with sex. The rejection lined up perfectly with other changes. She stopped laughing at his humor, stopped asking about his day, stopped choosing to sit next to him on the couch. The lack of sex wasn't the beginning. It was the final piece in a chain that had already been breaking for months. Most people fail to distinguish between temporary refusal and chronic withdrawal. Temporary rejection is normal. Stress at work, health problems, family pressure. Life can disrupt desire from time to time. That happens to everyone. But when days turn into weeks, and weeks stretch into months, when excuses become predictable, when intimacy feels like a negotiation instead of a natural connection, that's no longer life getting in the way. That's someone emotionally checking out of the relationship. Yes, outside factors matter, and many men overlook legitimate causes. Stress, hormonal shifts, medication, depression, grief. These can genuinely suppress libido. But there's a clear difference. Someone facing a real, temporary issue acknowledges it. They express concern. They try to preserve closeness in other ways. Someone hiding behind excuses doesn't. One woman dealing with real medical problems told me she felt guilty about her reduced desire. She initiated non-sexual affection, booked doctor appointments, and communicated openly with her partner. Compare that to someone who claims exhaustion every night while scrolling on their phone until 2 a.m. One situation invites teamwork. The other is avoidance. When the issue is serious, the signs extend far beyond sex. Watch what else disappears. Casual touch. Spontaneous hugs. Affection that isn't forced or routine. If someone no longer wants to hold your hand, the problem isn't libido. It's a lack of desire to connect with you at all. Then notice effort in other areas. A partner who still cares but struggles with intimacy usually compensates. They cook for you. Plan thoughtful moments. Find alternative ways to show appreciation. But someone who has fully disengaged offers nothing, emotionally, practically, or relationally. The rejection becomes total. I counseled a man whose partner hadn't been intimate with him for 8 months. But sex wasn't the real issue. She had also stopped contributing entirely. No cooking, no cleaning, no work, no meaningful conversation. She existed in the space, but not in the relationship. Sexual rejection was just one symptom of complete withdrawal. And perhaps the clearest sign of all is the refusal to spend quality time together. Someone can genuinely be too exhausted for sex and still want closeness. They might be happy to cuddle, watch a movie, or lie next to you. Someone can have a low sex drive and still enjoy date nights and shared experiences. But when a person avoids all couple time, constantly glued to their phone, always busy with friends, always finding excuses to be somewhere else, they're not avoiding sex. They're avoiding you. Using sexual access as a form of control is far more common and darker than most people realize. Some individuals intentionally withhold intimacy to maintain power. They understand that controlling sex gives them leverage. The more desperate you become, the stronger their position gets. This isn't about attraction. It's about dominance. This behavior usually follows a predictable pattern. Early in the relationship, Intimacy is frequent, enthusiastic, and adventurous. But once commitment is secured, marriage, children, shared finances, it slowly fades. Not because desire naturally died, but because it was always conditional. Sex was the bait. Once the hook was set, there was no need to keep baiting it. Denial also trains submission. The more you beg, negotiate, or try to earn intimacy, the less desirable you appear. You buy flowers, nothing changes. You do more chores, nothing. You plan romantic dinners, still nothing. Every attempt to earn intimacy quietly sends the message that you don't deserve it naturally. One client spent thousands trying to reignite his partner's desire. Jewelry, trips, spa weekends. The more he gave, the colder she became. Why? Because he was signaling that he wasn't inherently desirable. He was trying to purchase what should be freely offered in a healthy relationship. Emotional and physical needs are deeply connected, even though people rarely talk about it. Sex isn't just about physical release. It's about feeling wanted, valued, and chosen. When someone repeatedly rejects you sexually, they're not just denying pleasure. They're withholding validation, connection, and proof that you matter. The psychological damage of constant rejection is severe. Men start questioning everything about themselves. Am I unattractive now? Do I smell bad? Am I bad in bed? That self-doubt becomes overwhelming. But in many cases, the rejection has little to do with you and everything to do with how your partner views the relationship. Think of it like basic survival needs. Imagine someone controls all the food. They give you just enough to survive, but never enough to feel satisfied. Then they get angry when you complain about being hungry. That's what sexual denial feels like inside a committed relationship. Starvation, while someone else holds all the resources. Some partners say sex isn't everything, while reducing it to nothing. Then they accuse you of being obsessed with sex, even though deprivation is exactly what made it consume your thoughts. They create the fixation they criticize. It's like holding someone underwater and then accusing them of being obsessed with air. Being too accommodating makes everything worse. The more calmly you accept rejection, the more rejection you'll receive. The more you silence your needs to avoid conflict, the less your needs will matter. Understanding slowly turns into self-erasure. Patience isn't viewed as strength, it's seen as weakness. I've watched men wait for months, even years, hoping things would improve. They become celibate inside their own relationships. They believe loyalty and endurance will eventually be rewarded. Instead, their partners lose even more respect for them. And respect rarely exists where this kind of treatment is tolerated. Often, this level of withdrawal points to something even more concerning. When intimacy, attention, and affection all disappear at the same time, there's frequently someone else involved. Maybe not physically yet, but emotionally, the connection has already shifted. In many cases, your partner hasn't lost intimate energy, they've redirected it toward a coworker, an online connection, an old flame. If you're paying attention, the clues are usually obvious. A sudden focus on appearance that isn't for you. New underwear you never see. Extreme phone secrecy. Longer work hours. Social plans with people you've never met. The sexual rejection isn't happening because desire is gone. It's happening because that desire is being invested elsewhere. Waiting for a magical conversation or a perfectly worded gesture is pointless. Some men believe that if they just say the right thing, do the right thing, push the right emotional button, intimacy will magically return. They're searching for a cheat code to desire. But attraction isn't a puzzle to solve. It's a response to who you are and how you show up in the world. That's why real change starts with self-focus. Not trying harder to please. Not overserving the relationship. But rebuilding your own value. Get in shape for yourself. Advance your career for yourself. Develop interests, discipline, and direction for yourself. Here's the paradox most men miss. The less you chase intimacy, the more likely it is to return. One client radically changed his behavior. He stopped asking for sex. Stopped trying to please. He started waking up at 5 a.m. to train. Launched a side business. Reconnected with friends he had abandoned. Within 3 months, his wife began initiating intimacy again. Not because he cracked a secret formula, but because he became someone worth desiring again. Context matters before reacting. Not every refusal is manipulative or cruel. A partner dealing with trauma, grief, or genuine medical issues needs understanding, not pressure. The real question is this: are they actively working on the problem, or using it as a permanent shield? Are they seeking help or expecting endless patience? I once knew a couple where the woman suffered from severe endometriosis that made sex painful. She communicated constantly, sought medical treatment, explored alternative forms of intimacy, and openly expressed distress about the situation. Compare that to someone who offers vague explanations, avoids doctors, refuses discussion, and ignores your needs entirely. Respect defines everything in a relationship. When you're seen as an equal partner, temporary intimacy issues get addressed together. When you're seen as a provider, servant, or utility, your needs become optional. The real question isn't why someone want to sleep with you. It's why they don't respect you enough to care that you re-hurting. Respect requires boundaries. If intimacy disappears with no explanation and no effort to resolve it, there must be consequences. Not threats or ultimatums, but natural consequences. Reduced emotional availability. Reduced financial generosity. Reduced relationship investment. You stop overgiving and begin matching their energy. Some partners don't see their spouse as a romantic equal, but as a success object. Once the lifestyle is secured, the house, the kids, the stability, romance becomes unnecessary. Sex was the entry fee, not an ongoing part of the deal. These relationships are transactions disguised as love. Looking at intimacy holistically reveals the truth. Physical closeness doesn't exist alone. It's tied to emotional intimacy, shared fears, hopes, and vulnerability. It's tied to intellectual intimacy, deep conversations, and shared curiosity. When one form dies, the others usually follow. Sexual denial often mirrors emotional, conversational, and recreational denial. You're no longer partners. You're roommates. Worse than roommates, because roommates don't block each other from finding intimacy elsewhere. Real solutions require brutal honesty. Flowers won't fix disrespect. Date nights won't resurrect dead attraction. Counseling can't manufacture desire that doesn't exist. These are temporary patches on fundamental problems. Sometimes the most honest answer is accepting that the relationship has reached its end, or that only radical change can revive it. The warning signs of potential infidelity tend to cluster. No intimacy, emotional distance, secrecy, sudden changes in appearance. None of these guarantee cheating, but together, they create a strong probability. Your partner may not be physically involved yet, but emotional investment elsewhere is often already happening. One client discovered his wife's emotional affair through her Reddit history. Months of posts about their dead bedroom, while he was desperately trying to fix the marriage. She was receiving validation from strangers by publicly reframing his pain as entertainment. The betrayal wasn't just the withdrawal. It was the exploitation of his suffering for attention. Patterns rarely lie. Too tired for sex, but awake all night texting. Too stressed for intimacy, but energized for girls' nights. Too overwhelmed for couple time, but never misses yoga. The energy is there. It's simply not being given to you. Phone behavior reveals everything. Someone with legitimate intimacy struggles doesn't guard their phone like classified material. They don't smile at messages and dismiss your questions. They don't suddenly demand privacy for every interaction. When the phone becomes more important than you, the relationship has already shifted. Men need to stop waiting for spontaneous transformation. If nothing has changed in 6 months despite real effort, nothing will change in 6 years. When someone shows you they don't desire you, believe them. Hope isn't a strategy, it's denial wearing optimism's mask. Sexual refusal isn't the problem. It's the warning light on the dashboard. You can ignore it, cover it up, or open the hood and face what's really happening. Most men obsess over the light instead of addressing the engine. Not every refusal is cruel or manipulative. Real trauma exists. Medical issues exist. Grief exists. The difference is simple. Someone with real issues communicates. They seek help. They try. Excuses come with avoidance. Silence. Endless patience demanded, and nothing offered in return. Respect defines everything in a relationship. When you're seen as an equal, temporary problems get solved together. When you're seen as a utility, your needs become optional. That's why boundaries matter. If intimacy disappears with no explanation and no effort, there must be consequences. Not threats. Not ultimatums. Natural consequences. You stop overgiving. You stop overinvesting. You match their energy. Some relationships are transactions disguised as love. Once the lifestyle is secured, the house, the kids, the stability. Romance becomes unnecessary. Sex was the entry fee, not the ongoing agreement. Looking at intimacy holistically reveals the truth. When physical intimacy dies, emotional intimacy usually follows. Then intellectual connection. Then shared joy. You're no longer partners. You're roommates. Worse than roommates. Because roommates don't block each other from finding intimacy elsewhere. Flowers won't fix disrespect. Date nights won't resurrect dead attraction. Counseling can't manufacture desire that doesn't exist. These are patches on fundamental problems. Sometimes the honest answer is brutal. Attraction has expired. Not dramatically, quietly. Hope isn't a strategy. It's denial wearing optimism's mask. If nothing has changed in 6 months, nothing will change in 6 years. Patterns don't lie. Too tired for sex, but awake all night texting. Too stressed for intimacy, but energized for friends. Too overwhelmed for couple time, but never misses hobbies. The energy is there. It's just not being given to you. Phone behavior reveals everything. Someone with genuine intimacy struggles. Doesn't guard their phone like classified material. Intermittent intimacy is often manipulation. Just enough to reset hope. Never enough to meet your needs. Some women lose attraction to pure providers. Stability feels safe, but not exciting. They depend on you, but they don't desire you. Attraction isn't a right. It's maintained. Sexual refusal isn't the problem. It's the warning light on the dashboard. Ignore it, or open the hood and face what's really happened. Sometimes the truth is simple. Love and desire have expired. Not dramatically, just quietly. Like food past its date, what once nourished you now slowly poisons you. People stay out of habit, fear, or convenience long after attraction is gone. Other times, the truth lies in power dynamics. You've been reclassified, provider instead of lover, stability instead of passion. They need what you give, not who you are. The relationship becomes utilitarian. How someone responds when you express unmet needs tells you everything about their character. Do they care and work toward solutions? Or do they get angry that you're not grateful for scraps? Their response to your pain reveals their true feelings. Some people use intermittent reinforcement to maintain control. Just when you're ready to leave, they offer a brief moment of intimacy. Enough to reset hope, never enough to meet your needs. It's psychological manipulation, designed to keep you trapped in possibility. There's also a harsh biological truth many avoid. Some women lose attraction to pure providers. The same stability that once attracted them becomes dull over time. Responsible, predictable partners feel safe, but not exciting. They want the security you offer, but crave a spark you no longer represent. It's unfair, but it happens. I've seen this repeatedly. A woman marries a stable man, has children, loses sexual interest, but won't leave because she depends on the stability. She may love him, just not romantically. He becomes a useful appliance. Necessary. Reliable. Not desired. Social influence matters too. If her friends constantly complain, she'll find reasons to complain. If they cheat or divorce, she'll question the relationship. Desire is contagious, and so is dissatisfaction. Social media intensifies this effect. Curated fantasies replace reality. Why isn't our life like that couple's? Why doesn't he do what that influencer's husband does? Comparing real life to edited fiction destroys appreciation. Entitlement makes everything worse. Some people believe they deserve desire without remaining desirable. They stop trying physically, emotionally, intellectually, then wonder why passion vanished. Attraction is treated like a right instead of something maintained. In many cases, desire hasn't disappeared. It's been redirected toward a coworker, an online connection, an old flame. If you're paying attention, the signs are obvious. Sudden focus on appearance, not for you. New underwear you never see. Extreme phone secrecy. Longer work hours. Social plans with people you've never met. Sex isn't gone because desire died. It's gone because that desire is being invested elsewhere. Many men wait for a magical conversation. The perfect words. The right emotional button. They think attraction is a puzzle to solve. It's not. Attraction is a response to who you are and how you show up in the world. That's why real change doesn't start with pleasing harder. It starts with self-focus. Not overserving the relationship. Not begging for intimacy. Rebuilding your value. Train your body for yourself. Advance your career for yourself. Develop discipline, direction, and standards for yourself. Here's the paradox most men miss. The less you chase intimacy, the more likely it is to return. One client stopped asking for sex, stopped trying to please, stopped centering his life around her moods. He started waking up at 5 a.m. to train, launched a side business, reconnected with friends he had abandoned. Within 3 months, his wife began initiating intimacy again. Not because he cracked a secret formula, but because he became someone worth desiring again. Now, context matters.